Hi everybody, it's been 3 weeks since my last video. I was on vacation the last 2 weekends and had a great time, but now I'm ready to update you on what's happened over these last couple of weeks. It was an interesting break for me. I didn't have internet access for a lot of the time I was away, so I wasn't following stocks and ETFs daily like I typically do. So it's kind of interesting to disconnect like that for a time. It was all here when I got back, and I'll go over all the details with you. My goal is to turn $1,000 of Robinhood's money into $1,000 of my money. I'm using high yield ETFs and margin. But remember, nothing here is financial, investing, or any other kind of advice. I'm not a professional, and you need to do your own due diligence for your investments. Let's get started. My account value currently stands at $2,239.90. Remember, this isn't just a sum of all the investments that I have. Rather, the calculation is a little more complicated because I'm using margin. I have more than $2,240 in PAAA, but this figure includes the value of my losses. I'll show you another screen in a minute where it may make a little more sense. My buying power has pretty much been depleted. I'm still at the low risk margin status, 10.38% above my maintenance threshold, which I'm happy about. Here's a look at my 4 high yield ETFs and how they've done over the past 3 weeks. So this chart starts at May 18th and runs through June 5th. If you've been following the markets, you know that Friday was a huge down day, and you can see it here at the end where everything tanked. But overall, the investments aren't looking too bad. SPY down about 1.5%, Chippy up almost 6%, Blocks down a little over 3%, and NVII down over 11.5%. Crypto has been under a lot of pressure recently, and I'm a little surprised that Blocks is only down about 3%. This screen on Robinhood Legend shows a view of all of the securities in my account. At the bottom, you can see a small collection of cryptocurrencies. These are all just awards that I received from various Robinhood promotions, and this is probably about $10. I mentioned earlier that I have over $2,400 in PAAA, and you can see that here, and yet my account balance shows as $2,240. And that's because this is a representation of the amount that I own, the PAAA, and all these cryptocurrencies, and then accounting for the losses for the 4 high-yield ETFs that I'm using margin with. So since my margin ETFs as a whole have been a loss, that amount is subtracted from the other securities that I own outright, which leads to this figure up in the top left. And this view provides an easy way to see the current market price and the average price that I paid. You can see Chippy has done great. I bought in around $57.50 on average, and it's worth over $76.50 now. NVII has gone down about $1.30. I'm down a little bit on Blocks, about 60 cents per share on average. SPY, I'm up about $1.35 on average. And PAAA just keeps steady. Here's a year-to-date view of PAAA. You can see it's moving in its sawtooth pattern, which I expect. These huge drop-offs are dividend distributions. But what I like about this view is you can see that Friday's sell-off really didn't have much of an effect on PAAA. It's doing its job as my foundation. Now let's turn our attention to dividends. Each of my 3 ultra-high yield ETFs have paid me 3 times since the last video, and those payments are highlighted in yellow. We'll start with NVII, which paid me 2 regular payments, and then sandwiched in between was this huge payout, $4.38. The 59.8 cents per share is over double the previous week's and the following week's payout. And those dividends remind me, if we scroll back up, to the NVYY back last year. So that was a great payout for the week. I split the dividends in half. These 3 were reinvested back into NVII, and the other half was reinvested back into SPY when combined with some of the other ETFs distributions. NVII typically pays around 40-45% annualized yield, but obviously this middle distribution was much higher than that, probably around 90% or higher. Blocks' dividends were pretty stable, ranging from $1.01 to $1.10 per share. This is in keeping with their 36% annualized yield. Chippy's dividends grew each week over the past 3 weeks from $1.86 up to $2.07, and this is around a 45 to 50% annualized rate. I also received a SPY dividend on May 26 at 53.5 cents per share, and continues the trend where each dividend is a little more than the last one. I got my first one in August of last year at 22 cents, and I'm at over 10 times that for this distribution. Not a lot of money, but the trend is good. My SPY investment keeps growing larger and larger. I'm up to 4.4 shares. If we take a look at the total return summary, it's good news and bad news. The thing that stands out to me that's great is this Chippy total. I'm down a little less than 10%, which is much better than things have been. Unfortunately, Blocks fell off at the end of the week, NVII has been doing fine. Overall, my ultra high yield ETFs are down 44%. But SPY-I is pure profit because it's coming only from the dividends of those ETFs and then dividend reinvestment when SPY-I pays out. So when we combine the loss here and the profit here, we're down about 21%. With Friday's big sell-off, there's been a lot of talk about what's in store for the market, and especially cryptocurrency. On Friday, Bitcoin fell beneath $60,000 briefly. As of the time of this video's taping, it was back over $60,000. So let me know in the comments, do you think the market is about to take a turn for the worse, or is this just a healthy temporary downturn and possibly an opportunity to buy in at lower costs? I hope you enjoyed this 3-week update, and I would certainly appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. That helps me know that you're enjoying the content and that I should keep it up. And as always, a reminder, nothing I said here today is financial investing, tax, or any other kind of advice. I'm just inviting you along my journey. If you'd like to learn more about my small account, ultra high yield margin strategy, check out the first 5 videos in the series. Good luck hunting those infinite dividends. Take care.